Hello again, everybody. You're listening to the Total Basis Podcast. I am your host, Felipe. Once again, trying to review the ESPN Top 300 that was compiled by Tristan Cockruff as I kind of pick and choose, like I've been doing this whole time, pick and choose which players I want to go with, and I'll be targeting for upcoming drafts for the 2024 Fantasy Baseball campaign. And I do apologize. I am a little bit under the weather. There's some times where I feel like I'm getting better, and other times where I feel like I'm getting worse. So there seems to be a bug going around these parts here in the Midwest. So if you catch some sort of bug, hope you guys are feeling better soon enough. In the meantime, we continue on because my fear is that ESPN is going to once again update these rankings, and I'm gonna have to do this exercise one more time, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want to move on to some other stuff. So, but I thought this would be a nice little exercise to do. Uh, excuse me, just as an and we've done this before too. I believe Austin, my buddy Austin, and and maybe Sean was involved somehow, but I know Austin and I for sure did this around last year in December of 2022, going into the 2023 season. And that ended up being a really good exercise and just picking and choosing the players that we liked for the 2023 campaign. And it turned out, I mean, a lot of those guys that we researched in December, at least for me, a lot of those guys ended up being on my team uh, for the 2023 season. Wonder if I had saved that. I did not. Shame on me. I think we might have just gone in there willy-nilly and just started picking players left and right from the old 2022 list. Or I'm sorry, the old December of 2022 for the 2023 uh fantasy campaign, unless it's in this other folder. And I do apologize. I just kind of something that kind of came up as I was thinking to myself what we did last year or years prior around this time of year. But no, I don't see anything about the ESPN top 300. So I think what happened was that we just kind of picked and choose. Uh, we just kind of pick and choose unless it's in this other folder. Let me try that. And no, I don't see anything. Oh well, it's okay. But like I said, I mean, I remember just going through that list and basically all the players I had high praise for. A lot of those players ended up on my team, my fantasy teams. So that was a pretty cool moment to see and experience. Just makes it feel like all the hard work that we started back in the doldrums of the winter paid off big time. So I was able to win two of my fantasy leagues last year. I'm only in three leagues. I think three is a uh nice little number to have. I don't know if I could do a fourth league. But I know people keep asking me, "Hey, come on, join my league, join my league, join my league." I'm like, no, I gotta. I only have so much capacity. So, but we'll see. I don't know. Stranger things do happen, and by the time the season rolls around, I end up getting that itch and wanting to be in everybody's league and see if I could draft differently in each league and try to play in as many formats as possible. But we'll see how that goes. So again, it's not a real total basis podcast episode if there's no spreadsheet involved. Uh, I know that the spreadsheet has been pretty polarizing to folks, but I still use them, and they work for me, and that's all that matters. That they work for me. I know spreadsheets in baseball that offends certain people, but I'm at a point where like, well, if this is the stuff that offends you, like showing off my little passion that I have for this sport, the greatest sport of all time, and that I like to have it organized and put it up in spreadsheet form to kind of help me visualize and help me keep things structured a little bit, then I'm sad for you. So also, I never realized since doing these activities, I never realized how little people get to use spreadsheets. I I just thought, it's it's a computer age. I grew up without a computer when I was a kid, and I figured that everybody, like the majority of folks, would be ahead of me, especially those who have played fantasy baseball longer than I have. That this would be normal. That you just got to use a spreadsheet. How else do you stay organized? And apparently not. Apparently that this is a what I do here is an exception and not the rule. And I understand, not everybody has time to compile this list. God knows it's pretty painstaking and very it takes up a lot of my time. But it's a passion thing for me. I like it. I love it. My wife understands that this is kind of an obsession of mine. So I don't have anyone nagging me like, stop doing that. Go work at Uber or something to make some more money. I know. Yeah, I'm just speaking from experience from other people, some of my friends and some of my other colleagues that I know of. Like, but no, I told my wife I have to do this podcast because otherwise Tristan Cockcroft of ESPN is gonna change his rankings and then I have to start over. And she goes, yeah, that's fine. Just go. I'm watching a movie. Leave me alone. So anyway, Happy New Year to everybody out there because I didn't say it enough the last episode. As you guys can see, the starting pitchers are still up there. The Tyler Glasnows, the Grayson Rodriguez, the Tanner Bibbies. If you're listening to the audio only, I will post this up on our YouTube channel so you can follow along. And we're going to talk about relief pitchers today. This list shouldn't be as long as the starting pitcher list. I think I ended up with 24 starting pitchers, and there should only be 15 relievers that I will be talking about today, including a bonus pitcher that will remain a mystery. But the first guy up is David Bednar of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's basically been cemented as the closer the last couple of seasons. Uh, there's really nobody else in Pittsburgh. The only concern I have about David Bednar is that he is a prime trade candidate to a contending team. So depending on where he goes, he may not be the closer anymore. But the more I think about it, however, if he goes to, let's see, a contending team that's in desperate need of a closer, right? And let's take a look at that. I honestly wasn't thinking of doing that, but let's see. Does Fangraph have their 2024 projections up? No, they do not. But we can basically deduce, just see who's available out there. I mean, you're telling me the Yankees wouldn't be, if they're contending in late July, you got Juan Soto, you got Aaron Judge, you got all these players, all these young prospects who are coming up on your team, but you could still trade them away. They're still kind of young enough where teams would be interested in those guys for a David Bednar. Why not the Yankees? And David Bednar becomes their best relief pitcher. I know Yankee fans probably don't want to hear that, but it's true. I mean, I'm a big David Bednar fan, so I think the world of him. I chose David Bednar over relievers and other closers like, let's see here, Raisel Iglesias. I mean, Iglesias was the number 7th ranked relief pitcher. So again, I think I mentioned this before. When I look at a list like this, I assume that the first top seven players in these rankings by these so-called experts, and I call them so-called experts because I don't know how you guys think about these fantasy guys, and not all of these so-called experts are built the same. Like Scott White, I would put up there. Even Tristan Cockcroft. I wouldn't be wasting my time reviewing Tristan Cockcroft's rankings if I didn't have respect for the guy. Eric Carabell is a little bit corny for my taste, but he knows his stuff. So, I'm not going to downplay him. Eno Saris, as obnoxious as he can be sometimes. I mean, he knows his stuff. Darren Van Ripper, DVR, I think that's his name. Yeah, I love that Rates and Barrels podcast. Al Melchior is kind of like a hero of mine. I've been reading his stuff ever since I was a teenager and in my young adulthood when I was in my early 20s. Then one day he left. I don't know where he went, and next thing you know, he's on the Athletic. And so it's good to hear his voice again and see that his writing is still in high demand. So good for him. And that's just a few. But then there's other guys women are now, it's mostly a male dominated thing here, but I'm starting to see, well, women are more into the fantasy football aspect of things, but every once in a while I'll see a fantasy baseball columnist. They're just so far and few between. But yeah, there's plenty of writers that I'm like, oh, this guy again. I don't want to read about this guy. And I don't want to be too negative here. I mean, trying to be positive, and that's, but like I said, there's certain guys I highly respect. There's other guys that I maybe not have that same respect, but um I still appreciate their work. And then there's this dudes near the bottom of the list where like I don't have time for you. You're evaluating these players like it's 2002. Why don't you come back to me when your writing is a little bit more evolved and you are able to use some of the more modern standard, and you know, people might accuse me of being a little bit old school because I still love using the Fangraphs website to make these player evaluations and compile my own rankings. Anyway, I'm blabbering. I should move on. But yeah, Rice Iglesias. But you know, I still added him just to see if I did the right decision. Like minutes before I started this episode, I did question myself: do I go with David Bednar? Is he the right choice? Because if he gets traded, then there goes his value. But like I said, if he goes to the Yankees, that's a win for them. That's their automatic closer. I mean, like I said, I don't believe in Clay Holmes, and is that all they got? Just Clay Holmes? Is that really what's stopping the Yankees from getting a guy like David Bednar and putting him in their closer's role? Let's find out. So I have like 20 million screens going at once here. Look, just waiting for the Yankees roster resource page to load up. Yeah, Clay Holmes, Jonathan Loaiziga. I don't want to say Loaiza because that sounds like Esteban Loaiza. I think I've heard that pronunciation. Tommy Conley, who's a guy I've always liked, but I don't know if I like him as a closer. Be interested to see, but I think I like where he is set up right now as the seventh inning guy. Ian Hamilton, I heard of him, but yeah, that's the thing with the Yankees. They always have options, but I think I will still pick David Butler over any of those guys for my closer's role. So, but Yankee fans would disagree, and they definitely have a lot of the Yankee fans have bought into Brian Cashman's lack of, as in wrestling terms, testicular fortitude at the trade deadline, not wanting to let go of any of these prospects and just hoarding them, and then watching the Houston Astros and win championships and even their AL East counterparts take over that division and over the last couple of years or so. So sometimes you got to make that big deals. And I just, I don't see why they wouldn't want a David Bednar if they're serious about contending for championships over there. But if they're going to be moneyballing it like they do in Oakland, that's an extreme case. I'm sorry to mention that, but or the White Sox. I think the White Sox is a really good example as I wear my White Sox hat today again. If they want to be like the White Sox, then yeah, then you could watch Baltimore and Tampa Bay continue to compete for the division while you're left scratching your head wondering what happened to us? Why aren't we competing for championships? Jose Alvarado for the Philadelphia Phillies is listed as the current closer right now. Again, I think Alvarado is a better fit as a late inning guy, especially a lefty coming out of the bullpen and pressure pack situations. David Bednar would look wonderful in that bullpen role. I know Alvarado could be very dominant. He got 22. He's projected to get 22 saves this upcoming season. And I think we are going to talk about Alvarado later on, so I'll save. But all that to say that I think I would choose Bednar over Alvarado if I'm a real GM, real general manager for these teams, and just go with that. Just go with the David Bednar, and the Cardinals are not going to compete. Why are they ranked so high? It doesn't matter. Mariners, no, not the Mariners. The Rays, they don't want they don't want David Bednar. The Twins, they don't want David Bednar. The Orioles, they lost Felix Bautista. Looks like Yeiner Cano is the default closer. Last I checked, he was a default closer, and we might be talking about Yeiner Cano later in this episode if I ever get to it, because I get a little bit distracted. Oh, Craig Kimbrel is the. I forgot that he signed with them. Unbelievable. Oh boy. All right. Well, They like to live dangerously in Baltimore, apparently. I would choose David Bednar over Craig Kimbrel at this point. It's just the Kimbrel's too much of a wild card for me. And if you're a contending team like the Orioles, and we just talked about they have a pretty loaded bullpen. Sorry, loaded. Well, they probably do have a loaded bullpen. I got out of their page, so it doesn't matter. But I think their minor league system is still pretty loaded, and they got a bunch of guys who now don't have any room to be in the major league roster. So why not fortify your bullpen and get a David Bednar if the Pirates don't want him? And again, these are just what if scenarios. The Mets are ranked high. I forgot why, but Edwin Diaz should be back. He's ranked somewhere in the top 5, I believe. Let me see here. Let's look at Cockreff's list one more time. Edwin Diaz is the number 2 ranked closer. And again, the question from last week is, okay, so if you're looking for sleepers, is there a guy in the top 7 that you go out of your way to get? And I think I would go out of my way to get a guy like Devin Williams, Joan Duran of the Minnesota Twins, maybe Camilo Doval, but yeah, I'm getting Camilo Doval. I might as well just wait around for a guy like David Bednar or God forbid, Raisel Iglesias, who I'm not a fan of, but I will acknowledge that he is of much use these days, especially as a relief closer. Is there any other team? Mets, Marlins? Nah. Eh, maybe the Marlins. Because I know they got Tanner Scott. Finally, he's playing up to par. The Diamondbacks, well, now we're getting to spoiler territory here the more we talk. So yeah, David Bednar compared to some of the other guys that are on this list that I was considering right before the show started. Jordan Romano and Alexis Diaz of the Cincinnati Reds. Romano plays for the Toronto Blue Jays, and David Bednar has the better peripherals among all those among these 4 closers here. The FIP, which is field independent pitching, and as I mentioned last week, field independent pitching is like an ERA that basically says if there's no defense behind you, can a pitcher control his walks, yield high strikeouts, prevent home runs from leaving or balls leaving the ballpark and giving up home runs? And do they do a good job of not hitting anyone, like hit by pitches? And that's one peripheral. The other one is xFIP, which does the same thing, but that one kind of accounts for the home runs given up and kind of puts it in a league average standpoint. So a guy like Jordan Romano, who's at 0.92 home runs per 9 inning, ends up with a 3.4, an xFIP, expected field independent pitching, of above 4.01, because that statistic is basically saying that Jordan Romano's low home run per 9 inning is kind of fluky. Yeah, it's kind of fluky, considering that he plays in a very homer friendly division. Although with Baltimore, it's not as hitter friendly anymore, so I'm pretty sure that has something to do with it. But that's all that statistic is saying. Sierra, that was skills interactive ERA, again another type of earn run average that is accounting for the balls in play. And again, these are just rough definitions. If you want more details, go check out Fangraphs. But this is just a quick way of looking at it and making sense of these 3 statistics that I love to use. And David Bednar sweeps all those guys in those 3 statistics. So David Bednar also 38.1% outside the zone swinging percentage, and also has the highest swing rate of anyone on this list at 54.1%. And I did look at the leaderboard to see where that would rank him. And I guess I got out of that page, but that's top 5 guys. Chris Martin was the highest among all qualified relievers at 58% last year, followed by Brock Burke of the Texas Rangers, Emilio Pagan of the Minnesota Twins, David Bednar of the Pirates at number 4. Number 5 was Robert Stevenson. Number 6 was Raisel Iglesias. So it's one of the guys we talk about. He's there on the list. Emmanuel Clase, very much talked about relief pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians. Matt Moore surprisingly shows up on the list at 52.6% swinging rate. And I'm not saying that those are statistics that you can only look at. I mean, that's just one of the stats that I like to look at because it gives me an idea as to what this pitcher does does he induce a lot of swings? And if he does he limit contact? David Bednar does. I'll admit that he does not limit contact, but from what it looks like is that he gives up very weak contact, which I was told by many people, hey, that's a skill in itself. Like, I guess you're right, but he also does come with a 29% call strike plus whiff rate at 29%. That's not like I'm always looking for guys above 30%, but all things considered, the way that this guy's approach to pitching is, you'll take it along with a 16.1% swinging strike rate, which again, by comparison, Rice Iglesias at 16.7, Jordan Romano at 17.1, and Alexis Diaz, who probably might have the best stuff here. No, not according to stuff plus he doesn't, but uh, Alexis Diaz was at a 14.7. So I mean, they're all pretty good swinging strike rates. And in the case of Romano and Iglesias, it's pretty darn high. But David Bednar, nothing to sneeze about there at 16.1 either. And other thing, Bednar gives up the lowest exit velocity of anybody at 88 miles an hour on this list of 4 pitchers. The lowest barrel rate at 5.2%. Hard hit rate below 40%. Expected ERA of 2.84. So it's right there along the taking, as my daughter's trying to sneak into my my little office here. And of course, the Stuff Plus is the second highest on this list behind Jordan Romano, and he's the only one of these 4 pitchers when it comes to Stuff Plus, Location Plus, and Pitching Plus that are all above 100. So there. With that being said, this is why I decided that David Bednar is the way to go to start off this list here. Move on to the next guy. By the way, David Bednar was the number 8. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but that was the number 8 relief pitcher on the ESPN Top 300, as compiled by Tristan Cockcroft. Move on to number 10. I always like the number 10 relief pitcher every single season. 10's a nice little round number, and that's as long as you can take without snatching up a relief pitcher. And Andres Munoz at number 10 is a really good one here. I know he had his struggles. He was pretty much hurt for a majority of the season last year with a kind of a scary shoulder injury. He missed I believe it was a shoulder. I know he missed the WBC with Team Mexico, and I think that was a foot injury. So a lot of us were kind of who were looking to get Andres Munoz big sigh of relief because it wasn't an arm injury, but then he did get an arm injury. Um, but this guy has been known to light up the radar gun as a guy who could consistently throw 99 and 100 miles an hour, like on a consistent average basis. A lot of these guys, even though we see a lot of high velocities nowadays in today's modern baseball, a lot of guys are averaging about 95, 96. Even the guys I just mentioned, those 4, I think I still have that one up and running. Where is it? There it is. Yeah. Bednar, 96.6 average fastball velocity, 95 for Rice Iglesias, 96.7 for Jordan Romano, 94.5 for Alexis Diaz. That is not to say that those guys can register a high velocity if need be, but on average, they're about mid 90s. Andres Munoz is a 99 and 100 every single year that he's been in this league. But last year, it did come with a drop in strikeout per 9, a big increase in walk per 9. But there's a lot to like here. The peripherals love him. Expected ERA is around 3, which ended up being his real ERA. FIP loves it. XFIP loves his numbers. 31.8 strikeout rate, which is pretty good. Okay, which ironically, even though his strikeout per 9 actually decreased. Oh, I'm blind. Yeah, actually, it has been decreasing, but this is that's like the second consecutive year where Munoz ends up with a strikeout rate of over 30%. The walk rate is a little high though. And the whip was high too, probably because of the walk rate. Otherwise, he gave up 40 hits and 49 innings pitched last season. He's darn near unhittable, but he did take a step back last season, and I think it's a lot of it was injury related. Where I mean, I had him in two of them in the two head-to-head categories leagues, and I had to cut him in one, and basically he was of no use to me in the last month or so of the Major League Baseball season, 2023 edition. Other things to like about him though, 59% ground ball rate, Sierra at 3.08. What was his BABIP? Just out of curiosity. Three with a 330 BABIP. So they're suggesting a lot of these figures are suggesting that we are expecting to see a lot of regression, positive regression, I guess you could say. Even Tristan Cockrop's list, it has the word up, like the arrow is up on Andres Munoz. I don't know where he was ranking before. Do I still have that? Did I make it that far? Oh, I don't think I made it that far. But yeah, he's usually around the top 10. Other concerns, fastball slider, pitcher, throws a lot of sliders. Although that's according to pitch info. What about his Statcast pitch type? Yeah, same thing. Sinker was at 19%, so he is trying to throw more fastballs with movements. But again, consistently can get it up to 99 miles an hour. And not to say that velocity is everything, but it is a good indicator as to how dominant a pitcher can be. I know that people out there do not like uh, fastball velocity as a statistic to cite for these relief pitchers or any pitcher in general. I always hear, well, what's the point of having a high velocity if you can't have any control or command on it, or there's no movement on it? Like, you do make a good point, guy, but sorry, but all the best pitchers have. Sorry, more often than not, the pitchers with the highest velocities are usually the best pitchers in all of Major League Baseball, starting or reliever. So uh outside the strike zone, swing rate above 35.5, sorry, at 35.5%, which we want to see that. This is a lot of swings outside the zone, so that's good. The contact rates are just, he's basically unhittable. So that's another reason to love this guy going into the 2023 season. So don't give up on Andres Munoz just yet. He should be the lone closer in Seattle. I know that was a big issue last year, but there's a reason why he moved up. I think that's the reason he moved up on Tristan's list, was because there's no more Paul Sewald lurking around. There is a Matt Brash, though. There is a Matt Brash, so that is a concern. Matt Brash is kind of gaining a reputation as being a more one of the dependable relievers, but he's not there quite yet to Andres Munoz's level yet. But there's a lot of potential there, so we'll see how that goes. Moving on to the third relief pitcher in the top 15, number 15, Paul Sewald, as right on schedule. Just as I was mentioning him, I thought he did a wonderful job with Arizona last year, and solidify that bullpen. That bullpen is not very impressive. It's a miracle that, well, I mean, that's part of the reason why they were able to make the playoffs, is they were able to figure out their bullpen situation, especially once Paul Sewald came in. That fixes a lot of problems, and now you get a full season from the guy. What's his projections for this upcoming year according to the depth chart by Fangraphs? 75 strikeouts and 66 innings pitched. I always like Paul Sewald. Always been a big fan of his. The only thing I didn't like was the situation in Seattle, which Mariners seem to be loaded at pitcher. We talked about this last week. They have a type, and that type also is pretty relevant or pretty noticeable from the relief core as well. But yeah, Sewald did a good job. 34 big saves last year. Double digit strikeout per nine. The walk rate was a little bit high, but I mean 3.56. You'll take it. The peripherals are not as impressive as it was for Andres Munoz, and I think that has a lot to do with the BABIP. Yeah, 279 BABIP is a little suspect. Although BABIP is a kind of a finicky thing. It's more of a gauge to kind of evaluate where regression is going to go from time to time. But every once in a while, you'll see a guy that can actually consistently post certain BABIPs, and that's batting average on balls in play. the average league average should always be around 300. If you're around 300, that's good. If you're above 300, you're just unlucky. If you're below 300, you're very lucky. Seawall has a career BABIP of 272. Last year he was at 279. So conventional wisdom says that he should still be consistent regardless of what the peripherals say. But I mean, there's degrees to this. There's a reason why he's a top 15 relief pitcher, not top 10. But he's in the right situation, a contending team, does enough to not hurt you too much, strikes out guys in bunches, although maybe not the bunches you want to see from a relief pitcher, but still consistent enough. He is a fly ball pitcher, 50% fly ball, and that's basically his career high. So another reason why the BABIP is low is because he gives up a lot of fly balls. Fly balls are basically automatic outs. So that's something to keep an eye on. As you know, and all you hear people say, well, you don't want to give up too many fly balls because sometimes the fly balls are likely to be home runs or the big doubles into the gap. But when it's all said and done, and especially in that outfield, I think the last I checked, the Diamondbacks have a pretty damn good outfield defensively with Corbin Carroll and Alec Thomas and who else is on that team? Forgot. Oh, Alec Thomas is still listed as a starting center fielder. Psst. Yeah, that'll work, kid. Jake McCarthy, I believe, also had a good defensive year last year. Let me double check that. But he's listed as a right fielder. And who knows what the Diamondbacks are going to do? I'm sure they're not done solidifying that this roster. Actually, defensive runs above average. Jake McCarthy was negative 5.1, so that's not good. But what was the DRS? How'd that turn out to be? One, but +3 at right field though, and he was mostly a right fielder. So let's check those numbers out. +3 at right field according to defensive run save. 4.4 according to ultimate zone rating defensive metrics at right field. So Diamondbacks are stacked in the outfield. I mean, Paul Sewell's in the right situation for himself. And just like we do with every pitcher, wow, how's the plate discipline? How's that looking? If I could find it, there it is. Yeah, it does enough to get him. He induces enough swings. Definitely induces enough swings. But compared to Andres Munoz, he's more of a pitch to contact pitcher in terms of relief pitchers only. Otherwise, I mean, all systems are go, man. Proceed with plenty of confidence. Like I said, perfect situation. No one else is there to compete with him. If he's going to be a fly ball pitcher, that defense, that outfield in Arizona is just what the doctor's asking for at this point. So move on to the next tier, which are players ranked from 16 to 30. And we start off right away with the Marlins and Tanner Scott, which is a guy that we've been waiting forever to live up to potential. I've been liking this guy since he was a prospect for the Baltimore Orioles. At one point, when I was doing these winter exercises and looking at every team's rosters, Tanner Scott basically was the best relief pitcher on the Orioles by default, but he was still listed in the minors. Like the Orioles were that bad, like just atrocious. And here's Tanner Scott, like the one shining light, and Orioles can't make room for him. And then he goes to Miami and gets the opportunities to kind of start flourishing, but he kind of self-destructs them. Yeah, and I know that we talked about him at nauseum as someone like, we're not gonna give up on Tanner Scott. We're not gonna give up on Tanner Scott, and then we kind of did give up on Tanner Scott, and that's when he realized he started picking things up. But yeah, the walks were always a concern with him. The strikeouts, he's always had lightning stuff. He's always had good strikeout figures, but it's the walks that were killing him. And what was this home run per nine? Yeah, I mean, he was basically one of those unhittable guys, but he just lacked command and control of his pitches. So, what was his fastball velocity? 96.8 for a lefty. I mean, come on, man. There's a lot to like here. There's a lot to love about Tanner Scott. That's why I never wanted to give up hope on the guy, and I actually did. He basically was named the closer for the Marlins sometime last summer. I don't know exactly when, but all of a sudden he was just getting saves after save after save. Let me see. At the end of the year, I should say. He finishes up with 12 saves, but a lot of those saves came probably late July at the earliest, and they just continue on all through September. And I don't want to look at game logs because that's gonna take up way too much of my time here. Like, I'm already looking at a bunch of stuff for you guys, but he's projected to get 28 saves this year. A lot of the other guys listed here, I mean, Marlins are a sneaky good team. They have a really good bullpen going. Uh, well, I should say that it's a top heavy bullpen with Tanner Scott, Andrew Nardi, AJ Puke, and then you get to JT Chargois, Chargois. I'll call it Chargois, make it French. Um, who's projected to get a 4.20 ERA. Anthony Bender, I believe at one point he was the closer, if I remember correctly. Uh, and then he just lost the job completely, but he's still there, middle reliever, projected to have decent numbers. Stephen Okurt, 70 strikeouts and 60 innings pitches, the projection. George Soriano, well, these are just the back end guys. And Sixto Sanchez is listed as the long reliever as he comes back from injury. But this looks like a pretty set relief core right here. I would be shocked, extremely shocked that Tanner Scott is not the closer. And you could tell me, well, the Marlins might decide that they're going to uh, pick Tanner Scott to be the late inning guy, especially a lefty coming out of the bullpen. But I don't know. Every time people talk to me about that type of strategy, a lot of these teams just go back to the sure thing. Because there was at one point these relievers were being chosen, like the best reliever was the seventh and eighth inning guy because he's the guy who comes in and shuts down everything, like kills the rallies. And then the ninth inning guy might be the second or third best relief guy because he gets to pitch with the bases empty. And somewhere along the line, we went back to no, the closer is the best relief pitcher on the team. That's why he's closing and getting the saves and getting handsomely rewarded for his efforts. So we'll see. But as long as Tanner Scott is able to limit the walks, I mean, the sky's the limit at number 17. We could go through that exercise, but we mentioned some of these names, and I can see why he's number 17. And there's always that risk that maybe he'll go back and be the sixth, seventh, and eighth inning guy just because their Marlins are desperate and they got nobody else there. But I just read you some of those names. I think those guys are good enough to just be um, the they have enough decent names, decent relief pitchers to man the sixth, seventh, and eighth inning and be the bridge to Tanner Scott. Uh, Fastball. The only other concern with him is that he's just a fastball slider, but the slider is a killer. A fastball slider pitcher, but the slider just throws it at a very high rate. Yeah, I really like this guy, man. How old is he now? Oh yeah, he's already 29. So it took him a while to get here to the situation. So damn, I haven't. It's been that long since 2017. I feel like it was yesterday, but I was looking at this guy like, man, if Tanner Scott can do some keep those walks in check for the Orioles. And I feel the same way about DL Hall as well. I still stupidly think that he could be a starting pitcher for some reason. I think it's time for me to give up on that dream and just look at DL Hall as a relief pitcher, kind of in the same mold as Tanner Scott here. Play discipline numbers again. Outside the swing percentage at 38.1%. That's good. 51% swing rate. That's good. Contact rate 65.9. You guys don't believe me, man. You guys don't believe me about the contact rates. There's a reason why I love looking at contact rates. Where does 65.9? Is that what I said? 65.9? Where does that put him? Where does that put him? From least to worst, or least to most. 65.9 puts him in the 11th spot among all qualifying relief pitchers, ahead of Jordan Romano. Oh, I'm sorry. Just a little bit behind Jordan Romano, who makes the top 10. But who else is on? Giovanni Gallegos is at 13. Josh Zabors at ranked number 14. Kenya Middleton at number 15. Julian Merriweather at number 17. Gregory Soto at number 18. Joanne Duran at number 21. Josh Hader at number 22. All those guys are more established reliever names that more people should know about. Tanner Scott has a lower contact rate than all those guys. Raisel Iglesias at number 27. Camilo Doval at number 26. I mean, gentlemen, Ladies, fantasy baseball leaguers, Tanner Scott, man. Remember that name. Another name that I like is Evan Phillips of the LA Dodgers. And again, one thing I don't like about the Dodgers is that they have a lot of options over there for their closer situation. And this year is no different. But the difference between this year and years past is it looks like it's a little bit more established than in years past, where nobody else is going to be competing for this closer role, at least not right away. Bruce Gretel, it will be the eighth inning guy. Caleb Ferguson should be the seventh inning guy. Joe Kelly should be the first middle reliever you pick in the fifth and sixth inning to put out those fires. Alex Vegia is a good lefty out of the bullpen option. And Blake Trainer is just, it looks, he's listed as being part of the bullpen again. So there's the competition isn't as stiff, and not only that, but the bullpen roles are more established coming into the 2023 season for the LA Dodgers. And Evan Phillips is a very underrated pitcher. I still remember people getting flabbergasted in one of the playoff games. I think it's from 2022. People were incredibly angry. I forgot what pitcher they were using. The Dodgers were in LA. They were at Dodger Stadium against the San Diego Padres in a bullpen in a playoff game. And Dave Roberts decides that he's gonna pull his starter or one of it's vague. I mean, maybe you guys, if I describe it more, maybe you guys can tell me later. But he pulls a pitcher out, and people are blowing a gasket. Like, why would you do that? He's pitching so well. Let the guy finish the inning. Wow, Dave Roberts is a numbskull. And he brings in Evan Phillips, and I'm thinking to myself, why is everybody mad about this? Ah, there goes Dave Roberts. Depending on that bullpen, he has no confidence in his starters. He doesn't know any other way to manage. He micromanages. Let the starters go their full inning. And I'm thinking, do people not know who Evan Phillips is? I mean, Evan Phillips has been one of the more consistent relievers for the last couple of seasons. However, he does come with a strikeout per nine below 10, so at 9.68. So it's below double digits. Not really what I'm looking for here for my relief pitcher. But the one thing that is a saving grace is a walk per nine of 1.91. That's a below two walk per nine innings and finished with 24 saves. 96 and a half miles per hour fastball. Peripherals are good. 5.08 strikeout per walk ratio. 6.6 barrel rate against. So he doesn't give up. Hitters have a hard time hitting that sweet spot. A hard hit rate below 40%. Respectable expected ERA of 3.14. Induces more grounders than fly balls. 34.5% outside the strike zone swinging rate. 34.5. 34.5. So it's not top 30 among all relievers, but it is top 50. And he's tied with guys who people should know at this point: Colin Poche, Aaron Loop, AJ Minter, Phil Maton, Trevor Steven, Devin Williams. Those are the other guys who have a similar outside the strike zone swing percentage, if not identical. Emilio Pagan. Those is no slouch, you guys. It's no slouch. Let's see. What am I missing? Oh, the contact rates. The contact rates are a little high, but it comes with a call strike plus whiff rate of 31.8%. Sorry, call plus swinging strike rate, same difference. Wait, no, maybe it's not. Call plus swinging strike percentage, 31.8%. Again, I'm always looking for guys who go above 30%. The guy has just amazing control. I mean, there's more than one way to get your saves in the ninth inning. You don't always have to blow the competition away. Just give up weak hits, weak weak batted balls, and don't walk anyone, and you should still be good. And we talked about this guy already. Jose Alvarado it's a guy that I've loved since his days in Tampa Bay. It looks like he's going to be the relief closer, sorry, the closer for your Philadelphia Phillies by default. He finished with 10 saves, projected to get 24, I think, or 22, 24 is what I mentioned last time. Double digit strikeout per nine. The walks have always been an issue, but he's done a better job as the years have gone by of keeping those in check. Still throws a lot of gas, average 99 miles. Oh my God. His fastball somehow keeps increasing in velocity at the age of 28, 29 years old. Craziness. Again, peripherals love him. Would love to see a lower walk rate. It's currently a 10.5% walk rate last year, but it comes with a strikeout per walk ratio of 3.56. You'll take that. 4.4% barrel rate. Yeah, you'll take that. Hard hit rate's a little high, though, I will admit. And 91.1 mile per hour exit velocity, but I think it's one of those where he throws hard, therefore you hit it hard. You know, max velocity meets max launch angle consistency, something to that effect. So power versus power should equal higher exit velocity. That's just my theory. I'm sure other people will tell me I'm wrong, but that's just what I've seen over the years when it comes to those numbers, like reasons why certain pitchers who throw at high velocities can't seem to what do you call it? Uh, keep their exit velocities in check, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Big ground ball pitcher, 53.9%. He does, and that fastball is a sinker. And it's not a true four seamer, but it's a sinker. So there's a lot of movement in that. Or is it, theoretically speaking, it should be moving. I honestly don't know how those horizontal movements look like, but I can only imagine the frustration he gives into opposing hitters. Again, same thing, 35.4% outside the strike zone swing rate, deuces enough swings. Contact rate 68.9. I mean, below 70% for a relief pitcher is it's just magic at this point. At least you would think. Let's see here. Yeah, 68.9. That's top 30. Yep, 68.9% contact rate. Yeah, top 30. At least tie for top 30, I should say. So yeah. The only concern is, will the Phillies be looking to bolster that bullpen by going after a closer to replace Jose Alvarado and making Jose Alvarado the primary left-handed, the number one left-handed relief pitcher when the S hits the fan for the Philadelphia Phillies. So that is a concern. But the 23rd best reliever, I think it might be worth the risk at that point. If anything, if you play in a holds league, which we're getting to that territory now as move on to players ranked 30 between 31 and 45. We're talking about guys who might be able to one day overtake the closer's role for their teams, their respective teams. Or we might be talking about holds. And Brian Abreu is one of those guys. I think I think Ryan Presley's overrated as a closer for the Houston Astros, and the Astros have a lot of options. That's another problem. And one of the options that they have is a guy in Brian Abreu. Excuse me here. Just trying to clear my throat and talk at the same time as the congestion is starting to mount up on me. So I do apologize for the grossness of my voice. But we move forward. Brian Abreu, the eighth inning guy currently for the Astros, according to Roster Resource, with Rafael Montero, Kendall Graveman. A lot of new guys on this bullpen that even I don't recognize, but Bennett Sousa is projected to get 58 strikeouts in 58 innings. Ronel Blanco, 64 strikeouts in 60 innings pitched. So they got options, but Brian Abreu should be option number one to one day overtake Ryan Presley, who, like I said, I think he's overrated. Abreu, 5 saves, 24 big holds. So if you got a relief pitcher who can get you over 20 holds in a season, I would think that would put you in a really good company there. Don't believe me? Let's check the numbers out. So we go back to the big Fangraphs top reliever list. All pitching? No, I just want the relievers, and I'm doing this in another screen. The way I see it, I can't share all my secrets, right? But not only that, but the Fangraphs page is not aesthetically pleasing, at least by my vantage point. 24 holds, tie for 11th place last year. The number one guy was Hector Neris, also for the Houston Astros, 31 holds last year. But last I checked, no more Hector Neris in Houston. So Brian Abreu should be the one who will flourish and should get a big chunk of those holds that was going to Hector Neris last season. 34.8 strikeout rate, walks a little high, but again, 3.23 strikeout per walk ratio. Not the best, but not necessarily the worst either. Don't believe me? Let's look at the numbers again. No, I'm joking. If I'm doing that for everybody, we're going to be here. But I mean, 3.23, right? That's better than Jordan Romano, who's the closer that's a strikeout per walk ratio. That's better than Jordan Romano at 3 last year and Alexis Diaz at 2.39. Those two guys are closers. Brian Abreu has a better K per walk ratio than those two guys right there. Batted ball, let's see, line. Yeah, so he gets some 34% hard hit rate again, according to Statcast. Not too high, but 9.8 barrel rate. That's like the highest I've seen in a while. What were the big relievers there? Yeah, the relievers, David Bednar, Iglesias, Jordan Romano, Alexis Diaz, they were all below 7%. Abreu's at 9.8%. So a little bit of work that needs to be done to cut it down. I don't know what needs to be done from a coaching perspective, but he is a fastball slider guy. So it could be one of those things where, again, he throws so hard that it's power versus power, for lack of a better explanation. Trust me on this one, not or do your own research. I don't care. That's my theory, like I said. But and the swinging rates, I'll admit, are not very high. But in 2022, he showed elite level swinging rates like the ones that we've been sharing for guys like Tanner Scott, for guys like Evan Phillips. Last year, 30.8%. I mean, it's above 30%, but it's not as high as the other guys I've mentioned before. And 44.8% swinging rate, which I would like to see that number at 50%, especially for a guy who's supposed to dominate as a reliever. And in 2022, Abreu did hit the 49% swing rate as well. But you take all that because he is damn near unhittable with a 62.2% contact rate and a 34.1% call plus swinging strike rate. So there's a lot of promise for Abreu coming into the season, even though he's not a closer. But if you're in the holds league, you could do a lot worse than this guy. And he's going to be 27 for a relief pitcher. That's still pretty young because they tend to be late bloomers, so to speak. Yeah, his first full season was at the age of 24, as he was being sent up and down in his 2019 and in 2020. So I look forward to see how he grows in 2024. We talked about Yennier Cano, number 34th overall. So Abreu was 32nd overall. Cano is 34th overall in the ESPN Top 300. Cano is someone I spotlighted last year and someone we talked about a lot in our podcast at the beginning of 2023. And the big thing with Cano is that he's developed a really, really amazing changeup that has kept hitters off balance. So yeah, he could throw the ball really fast. I mean, he could throw, he could pitch and light up the radar gun. If average fastball velocity was 96.5%, 96.5 miles per hour. Sorry. The thing that's lacking with him is the strikeouts, but he makes up for it with um a low walk per nine of 1.61. 2.11 ERA, but expected ERA is at 3.25. The peripherals are at, I mean, FIP at 2.84, despite the lack of strikeout percentages. It's still at 2.84, which is pretty darn low. 3.01 xFIP. Anytime it hovers around 3, that's pretty darn good. 5 is the strikeout. So for every 5 strikeouts, he gives you 1 walk. Strikeout per walk ratio. Whip of 1.00. It's a lot to like here. It really is. It's heavy ground ball rate, 58%. Sierra at 2.98. So it's below 3. So I just can't say enough. And so it's not even really a fastball. It's a sinker that he throws at 55.7%. And the changeup is his bread and butter. He also throws a slider at 13.7%, but the changeup is everything. That's the big difference maker in his career. So listen to this 96.3 mile per hour sinker, and he pairs it with a changeup of 90.9 miles an hour, you guys. And that doesn't even include like how much break and how much horizontal movement is on that thing. Last I checked, it was pretty darn impressive. It's just a sight to see. The plate discipline numbers are all that's exactly what we're looking for. 36.1% outside the strike zone swing percentage, 50% swing rate, contact rate. I mean, he doesn't lose a lot of ground balls, so it's to his benefit. It's a little high compared to some of the other guys we talked about at 76%. And probably the reason why the Orioles decided that they wanted Kimbrel to be their closer is he maybe showed a little bit more dominant factors to his game, to his pitching last year. I don't know, and quite simply and frankly, I don't care much about Craig Kimbrel. I do, and I am interested in Yennier Cano. 8 saves, 31 big holds last year. You guys know what to do at this point. Come on. AJ Puk, we talked a little bit about him for the Marlins. It's another guy I'm definitely keeping my eye on in some of my leagues that I'm in because the category leagues that I'm in, they are holds leagues, and that is definitely a guy I am interested in for sure. It's the player that I've been keeping tabs on ever since he was a prospect for the Oakland Athletics. Unfortunately, he never became the starting pitcher people thought he could be, but there was always the backup plan that, hey, if anything, he could be a relief pitcher. And he came in with 15 saves last year. Respectable strikeout totals. I mean, K per nine was a career high at 12.39 last season, and a minuscule walk per nine of 2.06, also a career high for him, or career low. Walks, you want that number to be low, obviously. ERA was at 3.97, so that's a red flag. However, the peripherals do love the guy. They're at least a half a run lower than his real ERA. 2.66 Sierra. Oh my goodness. Oh, some of these numbers, man, they're just video games, man. If it wasn't for the fact that we need to have starting pitchers and we need to chase after the pitching wins and the yield the high strikeouts, I swear to God, man, sometimes almost curious to see if it would be better off to just stockpiling a bunch of relief pitchers and just take advantage of the rate stats. But you can't do that because it's an accumulation game as well. So, but can you imagine if you are able to extrapolate the limited use of these relief pitchers and just extrapolate to more innings, like 100 innings for every one of those guys? Oh, it's just an unfair matchup. But it comes with stamina issues, injury risks. The reason relief pitchers are so dominant is because they could throw the ball lights out without any concerns about pitching more than one inning. You guys know the drill. But it's nice to imagine. Yeah, fastball slider pitcher. Sometimes he'll utilize a sinker, but yeah, it looks like he's giving up on it and just concentrating on a four seam fastball. Hmm. It's a lot to like, man. Again, decent swing rates, 33.3%. Not as high, not too low, just right. Contact rate, 68.5%. So that should put him in the top 30 and 35% call plus swinging strike rate. The guy throws strikes. AJ Puke. Come on, everybody. Let's go. Let's go. Why are you here? Just put a big circle next to these three guys that I just mentioned. I feel like I'm more excited talking about these guys who can get you lots of holes. How many holes did this guy get? AJ Puke. Oh, only 2 holes, but that's because he was used as a closer, 15 saves, but also 8 blown saves. That's okay. It's all about growing pains, right? Show me that smile again. AJ Mentor, number 46. As much as I try not to get AJ Mentor, because you would think that he would just be the most dominant relief pitcher just based on his numbers. But every time I pick him up, he craps the bet on me. So So like, if I avoid AJ Minter, he'll have a great season. So that's just the pack I made with him a long time ago, right? But AJ Minter, you can't deny it. 11.41 strikeout per nine. That's his let's see. One, two, three, four, five. 4 out of the 6 seasons that he's pitched in, he has posted double-digit strikeout per nine ratios. Had great control again, 2.92 walk per nine. Again, a little bit high because for a relief pitcher, because we're used to seeing them with ridiculously dominant low walk rates. But that's okay. I'll take that. 2.92 is okay. It equals to an 8.1 walk percentage. 3.90 strikeout per walk rate. I mean, we'll survive with that. Let's see, 10 saves, 21 holds. That's a cheat code right there if I ever seen one. Excuse me. This will be his age 30 season. It's still frustrating hitters, posting low exit velocities. Last year was at 87.9 miles per hour, 7% barrel rate, which is pretty like again, those other guys I mentioned, those were all below 7%. The Betnars, the Iglesias, the Alexis Diaz, those guys are the closers, and they were all below 7%. Or what was it? What was the number I said? Yeah, 7.3%. Okay, whatever. I'm off by a couple of tenths of a percentage point. That's okay. Concern is that he's a fly ball pitcher, or he gives up more fly balls than he does ground balls. It's okay. He doesn't give up. Does he give up a lot of home runs? Nope. Has never, has never given up a home. Has never posted a home run per nine above one in his life. And I know what you're saying. Well, what about his home run per fly ball ratio? Only one time has it ever been above 10%. That was back in 2019, the rabbit ball year. Wow. I tell you, man, some of these relief pitchers, I swear to God, it's not fair. Fastball cutter is what he primarily uses, and then for good measure, a 14% changeup. So I know I normally don't like pitchers who don't throw a lot of breaking pitches, but if it works, right? I know I've been critical of guys like Martin Perez who don't pitch with a breaking pitch, and rightfully so, because it just seemed fluky, and I believe it was fluky. Although I don't care too much about Martin Perez to break him down. Like I'm not interested in drafting him. I'm not interested in getting him on my team or looking at him. I'm not interested. AJ Minter though, he's posting these video game numbers. Oh, you got my attention there. But again, it only works if I don't put him on my team, because once I put him on my team, he starts to struggle. And of course, the plate discipline, except for the contact rate's a little low, but that's okay. I mean, he has proven that he can survive with a relatively high contact rate, career high, a career 70.5% contact rate. Again, we've been marveling at the guys who post 60% contact rate, 65% contact rate. This guy's at 70.5%. It's okay. It's okay. AJ Minter makes it work. So AJ Minter, number 46 relief pitcher. We now go to the 50th best relief pitcher according to Tristan Cockruff. Eric Swanson, who I thought did a marvelous job in Seattle, and then he got traded to the Blue Jays, where he pitched pretty respectively. A little bit flukiness to his game, but that's okay. I mean, it's still a respectable relief pitcher, productive relief pitcher last season. The strikeout rate did go down, but it's a tougher division he went to, so I'll try to give him a pass. The walk rates did go up though, still below 10%. However, he's never posted a walk rate below 10%, but it looks like his walk rates are trending upwards, which is a kind of a red flag, especially as he ages. Again, just like was it Minter I was talking about? Yeah, I think it was Minter. Just like Minter, Swanson is entering his age 30 season, so I don't know if that's an age thing or what, but something to keep an eye on. But regardless, I mean, he's basically the second best relief pitcher for the Blue Jays. Don't believe me? Well, let's go to Toronto and find out. What does roster resource say about the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen? Jordan Romano as the closer, Eric Swanson is the eighth inning guy. And that's just a roll. I mean, if I look at other numbers, I mean, what is he better than Tim Meza, the lefty specialist? No, I don't think so. Is he better than Yimi Garcia? Definitely not better than Yimi Garcia. Although we talked about Yimi Garcia before, so I don't know if we'll talk about him again. 4 saves, 29 big holds last year. You'll take that. Don't lie to yourself. You will take that gladly. Those 29 holds, and if you're in a holds league or you're in a save plus holds league, you will gladly take that. Fly ball pitcher, so that's a kind of a red flag. And unlike AJ Minter, he has posted big home run per fly ball ratios or percentages before, above 10%. So that's a little bit concerning, especially playing in the AL East, but he made it work for the most part last season. Is the four seamer is going away, but he has little by little it's decreasing his usage rate on the four seamer is going down, and instead he's going to rely more on his split finger fastball, as that one saw a career high usage rate of 47.5% last season. So very interesting. Crafty. He went from a guy relying on his low to mid 90s fastball to rely more on craft and movement like sliders and splitters, especially that split finger pitch of his. Plate discipline numbers, swing rates are healthy, contact rates are okay. So don't lose hope on Eric Swanson, is what I'm saying. And the top 50 ranking is justified. Chris Martin, I believe he still plays for the Red Sox, right? And does he still sing for the band Coldplay? Don't mind me. That's just my kid yelling. I'll go check on her in just a bit. But yeah, the one thing about Chris Martin, he's entering his age 38 season. Well, he'll be 38 in early June. And he was with the Red Sox last year. Where is he now? Fangraphs still shows him as the Red Sox. So, and he's not too far away from being the primary closer for that team. Let's see. Oh, Kelly Jansen, right? But he's the eighth inning guy. So if he's the eighth inning guy, he's going to be put in those pressure pack situations that should equal to a lot of holds. Yep, 23 holds last year through only 3 saves. So if you're in a holds plus saves league, that's usable, right? Along with the low walk rate. He's always posted very low walk rates, criminally low walk rates. It's almost fluky by nature. And the peripherals love him. I mean, it's not the same as the 1.05 ERA he posted, but still, they're all below 3% except for that expected ERA from StatCast. Was the Sierra 3.08? So yeah, all the big three, FIP, XFIP, and Sierra, they're all hovering either below 3 or in the low threes. So not the big strikeout totals that you expect from a guy from the eighth inning, but I mean, this is the prime example of just giving up weak contact rate. Now, is there a little bit of flukiness to his game? Probably not. No, hold on now. Actually, no, because he does. I assume he gives up a lot of contact, but last year his batting average on balls in play was a 301. So that's about league average. He is who we think he is at this point. Contact rate 80.4%. So the big contact didn't do much to derail him as a consistent relief pitcher last year. Trying to look here. He gave up 45 hits and 51 and one-third innings pitched. I mean, come on. That's these guys, when they're not even posting big strikeout numbers, they're still posting video game numbers of other kind. 84.5% exit velocity. Again, that's the fluky part of it. That's a career low for him. But I could see him doing it again next year at the age of 37, 38 years old. That's crazy. Career low 2.1% barrel rate. Career low 30.3% hard hit rate. You would think that these numbers are not sustainable and that they're going to have to increase for the 2024 season, but he's already doing this with a league average BABIP. The big ground ball pitcher. I mean, he just 51% last year. So that must mean that his defense behind him is pretty darn good. I don't know. At least that's my assumption. Anyway, that's another. Let's keep going here. What else do we like about Chris Martin? It was all yellow. He's skin. Oh yeah, he's skin and bones. Yeah, that's. I mean, he looks like a pitcher that would just based on his usage rates would look good as a starting pitcher, but he's obviously carved a niche for himself as a relief pitcher. But yeah, fastball and cutter mix with the occasional sinker and split finger, and once in a while he'll throw in a slider just for giggles every once in a while. Big velocity, so it's not like we're talking about a guy with who is a noodle arm pitcher. He just throws the ball with a lot of movement and induces a lot of weak contact. So again, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And the swing rates are high for obvious reasons, but that also means that he has a very high contact rate, but he makes it work. He makes it work. And we're back. I have to take a break for a bit. We last left off, excuse me, talking about Chris Martin up Coldplay. Sorry, the Boston Red Sox. All right, well, we got a few more. We're almost done here. Wanted to wrap this up and finish this up, put a nice little bow on it. Jojo Romero is next on the list. I believe he's from the Cardinals. Yes, he is, I believe, if I remember correctly. And I could have sworn I saw him play for Team Mexico in the WBC. Um, if that is indeed the same person I'm thinking about. Times like this, I wish I could actually have a little bit more patience and go to baseballreference.com. But you know what? We got time today. Let's go. Jojo Romero. Where is he from? Baseball reference. That's right, folks. Get this out of the way. oh, oh, okay. So he was drafted. So let's see here. University of Nevada, Reno. Hey, that's where Colin Kaepernick went. No, it doesn't actually give a date of. Oh, Camarillo, California. But I could have sworn that I saw him play for Team Mexico in the WBC. Well, let's refine this search a little bit more because now I'm curious. I'll be honest though, I'm waiting for the Fangraphs pages to load up again so I can spew out the numbers that made me fall in love with a Jojo Romero. He is ranked number 64th overall. And I hope this isn't confusing you guys. I do have the starting pitchers from last time. You know, the Tanner Bibees, the Nick Lodolos, the Reed Detmers. Uh, let's see, Jojo Romero, WBC 2023. Yeah, Team Mexico. Okay, so I'm not completely losing my mind here. And let's see, Jojo Romero is still playing for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's a seventh inning guy, lefty reliever, 42 strikeouts in 36 innings last year with a 3.68 ERA. Projection of 69 strikeouts in 64 innings pitched with a 3.29 ERA is the projections for this upcoming season. Lefty will be entering his age 27 season for those who believe in that still. 3 saves, 3 holds. So really the cumulative stats aren't there. But what is there is a guy who has a very outstanding peripherals. Had a really great season last year. It's both from the traditional standpoint and a sabermetric standpoint. 28.6% strikeout rate, double-digit strikeout per nine, a minuscule 2.45 walk per nine ratio with a 420 strikeout per walk ratio. I know there's people, I mean, we mentioned the number 69, the number 420. What else do we need to say about this guy? He has all the good numbers, apparently. 276 Sierra, so the BABIP wasn't a big issue, or yeah, 301 BABIP, but so he is exactly who we think he is. Uh, a very low exit velocity of 86.6 miles per hour against 2.1% barrel rate against. There's a lot to like here. I'm not sure why he isn't getting all the holds. That usually he must be pitching. Oh, okay. Well, here's one problem is that he only pitched in 27 games. A lot of these guys pitch in a boatload of games, and a lot of the good relievers are projected to get close to 60, 65 appearances in the upcoming season. Maybe even, let me see. For example, Ryan Helsley, who's listed as the Cardinals closer right now, is projected to get 65 innings pitched. Romero, 64 projected innings this upcoming season. Last year, he was only at 36.2. So that's still, I mean, it's still a low number, 3 holds, but you never know how they would have been able to use him last season if he was fully healthy. Big ground ball pitcher, even though he's 5'11, 59% ground ball rate. So there's a type there. And how does he get his job done? Well, he's abandoning his four-seamer and concentrating on his sinker. Surprise, surprise. Therefore, that's where a lot of the ground ball pitches come from. Still averaging about 95 miles an hour for a left-handed pitcher. That's pretty damn good. That's all you can ever hope for. And combines his sinker with a slider and a changeup. Basically, throws those almost the same amount of times. Outside the strike zone, swing rate is a little low at 31.2%, but it's what I say. So anything above 30% you'll take. Swing rate is above 40, is at 47%. So that is kind of concerning, but only gives up 68.8%. Actually, the last 2 years he's averaged about roughly 67% contact rate. So you will take that along with the 33.6 call strike plus swinging strike percentage and a 14.7 swinging strike rate. So I'm hoping that a lot of these nice looking advanced stats lead to output in the form of holds. He is projected to get 15 holds this upcoming season. So we'll see if any of that comes to fruition. Ranked at number 68, Josh Sborz. This is a guy who showed up a lot throughout the year last year for the Texas Rangers as a possible solution for bullpen help. Again, I play in holds league, so if you're in a holds league, you're in the right spot here. But also, Sborz at one point was maybe considered a guy who could come in and put up some saves. That didn't happen, unfortunately. He had 0 big saves last year, but it came with 66 strikeouts and 52 and a third innings pitch with a strikeout per walk ratio of 3.9. So don't pay too much attention to the high ERA. It's fool's gold, at least based on the strikeout and walk numbers. Yeah, 2.92 walk per 9. Another season of double-digit strikeout per 9. Yeah, 5.50 ERA, but expected ERA should have been at 3.35, 3.75 FIP, 3.19 xFIP. So there was an issue with home run balls. Yes, there was 1.38. There's always an issue with home run balls with Josh Sborz. That's okay. That's okay. Regression works both ways, right? Is something I always say around here. So basically, the advanced metrics are saying that he should have been posting better output numbers. I mean, strikeout rate of 30.7%, a minuscule 1.15 whip. I mean, I guess minuscule is not the right word, but you'll take that whip, 1.15. That's a career low, I guess, since 2020. 2020 doesn't even count. He only pitched in 4 games. So I'm going to say last year was a career year for this guy, Josh Sborz. Allows more ground balls and fly balls. What else are we looking at here? Oh, right. I think StatCast numbers. 8.4% barrel rate. The hard hit rate's a little high. It's always been above 40%. So that is concerning. It is decreasing though. So step in the right direction, right? How does he do his damage? He still throws a four-seamer that averages about close to 97 miles an hour. So yeah, this guy throws missiles out there and complements that with the slider and the curveball. So it's a fastball slider with the at about 37% each, and then the curveball drops in at 25%. So he knows this is definitely a guy who knows his pitches. And of course, plate discipline, 34.2 outside the strike zone, swing percentage, only 46.9 swing rate. Again, we want that number to be as close to 50% as possible. But contact rates there, just like with Jordan Romano, 66.6% contact rate with a 33.4 call plus swinging strike rate and a 15.7 swinging strike rate as well. Yeah, it's almost like you can expect a step in the right direction for Josh Sborz next year. Assuming there's no injuries happening. Yeah, all of that. I mean, all of this is hypothetical. Assuming that everybody's healthy and the trends are pointing in the right direction. The walk rate a little alarming because he's never in the 3 full seasons or close to the. Let's put it this way: in the double digit, every time he's posted double digit game appearances since 2021. Last year was the first time that he had a walk per 9 below 3. And it is a little fluky that he doesn't induce a lot of swings in general. A lot of his swings do come outside the strike zone, so that's pretty damn good. And allowing for low contact. So I mean, it seems like a little bit of a regression is coming, but the trend is there. The trend is there, and it's worth monitoring. I mentioned he had 0 saves last year, but it came with 14 holds. Again, if you're in a holds league, 14, you'll take that. And who knows when he got those 14 holds. If you got him late last year and he just, again, I'm not looking at game logs because that's too much time consumption there. So I do apologize for that. And he's projected to get to 12 holds. I think he can get to 20. He's gonna be the main the 8th inning guy, if not the main what do you call that? The first the fireman, so to speak, coming out of the bullpen. He's supposed to lead the Rangers projections and with strikeouts at 75, better than their closer Jose Leclerc, although he's at 73. So there's a lot to like here about Josh Sborz. I guess you could say you could proceed with caution, but like I said, I like where this trend is heading if all things are equal. The last guy, see, I told you guys I was going to talk about Yimi Garcia, and it's like the more I want to get away from Yimi Garcia, the more he brings me back. There's always a reason he brings me back, and I always feel uncomfortable, and I end up regretting it. I mean, and we've been keeping track, at least I have, been keeping track of Yimi Garcia ever since he was with the Dodgers, and he looked like a promising relief pitcher. I mean, the stuff has always been there. There's always issues with command and getting rocked and getting hit hard, and it's hard. It's hard to avoid him. I mean, the numbers are the advanced stats and show that he should be pitching much better than he does, than what his output numbers show. And maybe I should have gone with Andrew Nardi, maybe Taylor Rogers. Although I compared all these guys that put up their numbers over at Fangraphs, and guys like Taylor Rogers, who I liked for a while, Pierce Johnson, who I liked for a while. Maybe I should have gone with Garrett Croquet, but right now I'm not digging whatever the hell the White Sox are doing. There was a Gregory Soto, Giovanni Gallegos, Hector Neris, who's listed as a free agent, although this might be an old list. Maybe the list wasn't updated, I should say, by ESPN. Gregory Santos. I compared all those guys. This is the tier players who are ranked between 61 and 75. Yimi Garcia barely makes my list at ranked at number 74. Andrew Nardi was 75. But with Yimi Garcia entering his age 33 season, it's very tough to not fawn. And it was kind of a bounce back year of sorts. He was able to keep the walks low, the double digit strikeout per 9. Home runs were done. Were once again home run per 9, I should say, at 1.09, which the closer it is to 1 or even below 1, that's what you want to see. Yeah, it comes with a 4.09 ERA. Like a career year in terms of WAR, a Fangraphs WAR apparently. Last year was the high. That's the first time in his career since he got called up in 2014, where he posted a WAR of 1.0. All seasons before that, it's always been below 1. Excuse me. But the peripherals are there. They're all below 3. I was gonna say below 3.5, but the expected ERA is at 3.53. Where's the Sierra at 2.99? because his batting average on balls in play was 339, so a lot of bad luck there, and still was able to kind of flourish a little bit. Again, big strikeouts. Well, 28%, it's not 30%. 28% is still pretty high against a 5.3 walk percentage of and a strikeout per walk ratio of 5.27. Hey, the bigger the better, right? We want that strikeout per walk ratio to be as high as it can be. I was always told that anything above 3 was pretty damn good. 4, I mean, you're pretty great. Anything above 5, 6, that's elite level status right there. What 19 holds last year, 3 saves. So holds plus saves or just single holds leagues. This is someone to keep an eye on. More grounders than fly balls, 45.5% ground ball rate. It's not 50%, but 45.5%, versus only a 29.8% fly ball rate, the lowest of his career. It seems a little fluky. But then again, that might explain the big 339 BABIP, because he's career high ground ball rate. Maybe this is the new Jimmy Garcia. At the age of 33, he's probably learned some things, some tricks of the trade. I'm interested to see what his StatCast pitching profile looks like in terms of the pitching usage. But yeah, 87 mile per hour exit velocity with a 6.6 barrel rate and a 35.2 hard hit rate. Again, anything below 40% is a win in my book in terms of the StatCast hard hit rate. Pitch type, still relying on that four seamer, which goes up to 96 mile per hour. Jesus Christ. That also a career high in StatCast. Well, tied for a career high. 2021, he also hit the 96 average mile per hour. What else does he do here? He's trying to he's been working on a sinker the last 3 seasons, which he throws at 95.5 miles an hour, and he's looks like he's trying to increase the usage of that thing. It got up to 15.6% last year. He's doing away with a slider and trying to pitch more of his curveball. Changeup is still steady at about 7.3%. That's the way it's been the last couple of years. So the sinker would explain the reason as to why the ground ball rate is the highest it's ever been in his career, Yimi Garcia. I mean, so again, we're looking at trends. That seems to be a trend in the right direction. And for him to be more consistent as a late inning relief pitcher, because Lord knows he's been very inconsistent throughout his career, despite the fact that everything about him says that he should be a lot better than what he shows. 33.4% outside his strike zone swing percentage, 48% swing rate. Again, you wanted to be closer to 50, but you'll take a 48%. Contact rate's a little high, 72.2, but that might explain the high BABIP. If anything, this is the lowest it's ever been since 2015, his second year in the league, which how many games did he play in 2015? 59 games with the LA Dodgers. 11 holds that season. It's the third highest he's ever posted in his career. And with the Dodgers, this is what I'm talking about, 2015. In 56 innings, he posted a 10.8 strikeout per 9, along with a 1.6 walk per 9 and a 3.34 ERA with the peripherals that match. It was promising at the beginning, and then things fell apart. But last year with the Blue Jays, looked like he was turning things around. 29.1% call per swing strike percentage. Again, you want that closer to 30%, but 29.1 is not too shabby. 13.4% swinging strike rate. Again, you want that number to be just astronomically as high as you can get. If it's 20%, 19%, you kind of start calling, you start kind of questioning how fluky that is. 13.4% is a decent number. But yeah, Yimi Garcia late in the drafts. If you want those holds, that's the way to go. And then the occasional saves. What's his projection? Let me double check that one more time, and then we'll move on to our surprise pitcher, and we'll call it a day, and night. 13 holes is the projection. I think he can get a little bit more. He's the 8th inning guy for the Toronto Blue Jays last I checked. Yes. Oh, no, it's Eric Swanson. Oh, no, Yimi Garcia is somewhere in the middle. But come on, I can see Yimi Garcia getting the call from the bullpen. to set out some fires. He can pitch in the seventh because the other guys in front of him, according to roster resource, Genesis Cabrera and Tim Meza. First of all, Tim Meza, I've mm, got to choose my words carefully. It's okay. I just don't trust him all the way through, and he's left-handed, so you know how those guys can get very limited. Genesis Cabrera, again, another guy. I think he was with the Cardinals for a while. Nice, decent projections, but just double checking what other birds he was playing for. He's with the Blue Jays now. Genesis Cabrera. Yep. St. Louis Cardinals. Yeah. See, that's the thing. Always look promising, but he's has those issues with the walks. He has a career of 4.52 walk per nine. Last year was the lowest for Genesis Cabrera at 3.88. But the peripherals do not like him. Yeah, I think when it's all said and done, Yimi Garcia should be at the top uh, of that bullpen rotation. Yeah. Lastly, the last pitcher, bonus pitcher. Thank you guys so much for accommodating me and humoring me a little bit. This is something I've been trying to do for a while. I've been fighting illnesses, trying to book co-hosts to help me out with this project, and I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna do it myself. And more than likely, this is gonna finish off the. This is part of the whole season 4 finale. As you guys may or may not know, Total Basis podcast, we go season to season to season. So this is early January. We're trying to finish up season 4 as we get ready for season 5. I still don't know what I should do for season 5 to kind of differentiate between the two. I have some ideas. Hall of Fame show, I don't know. It might be too late for me to do that research. We usually kick off every season with the Hall of Fame show, but I feel like at this point, you do one, you've done them all, and that one gets my blood pressure boiling. I think Chase Utley's on this one, and I've been singing the praises of Chase Utley since he retired, and saying that if next stop for Chase Utley should be Cooperstown, but we know it's not happening. It might not happen after 1 year. It might not happen after 2 years. It might not happen after 5 years, 7 years. It might take forever. So, do I really want to go through that? And Mark Burley too. We're finding the last time we did the Hall of Fame numbers and we looked at the Fangraphs war since 1980, I think, because a lot of these guys they should all be they should all have their career start after 1980. The ones who are in the current ballot. And Mark Burley may have been a guy ahead of his time, may have been a lot better. The only knock on him is that he pitched in a very hitter friendly era, so he gets penalized for it. Doesn't have the counting stats, but compared to other pitchers, uh, he does have the counting stats because he just outlasted a lot of his peers. He's top 10 in a lot of these counting stats. When last we did the Hall of Fame show last year. So, but he's not getting in the Hall of Fame. I would vote for him, but he's not getting in. It's a damn shame. But what are you gonna do? I mean, anyway, like I said, it got to the point where I get frustrated, and it's gonna be more of the same. I'm just gonna be pissed off that player X should get a lot more votes than he's getting, and he's not because he's not getting some of the more traditional benchmarks that the more we know about baseball statistics and the websites that are out there like Baseball Prospectus, Fangraphs, Baseball Reference, even with the whole StatHead. I think they're called StatHead now. The whole conglomerate StatHead. What's the other website that's out there? I forgot. Shoot. Anyway, there's plenty of websites that explain how statistics work, and they emphasize league averages, league ballpark factors, and era factors, and all this and all that. And people are like, no, where's my 3,000 hits and my 400 home runs? Despite the fact that not all baseball eras are not equal, right? We're seeing that 300 wins is like the new Moby Dick or the new windmills that these starting pitching Don Quixote wannabe pitchers will be chasing but will never reach. They're Moby Dicks. Or even 3,000 strikeouts. Not well, which is ironic because emphasis on strikeouts in the modern day of baseball for pitchers and hitters are definitely striking out a lot, but still, it's not enough to get to 3,000 strikeouts. I might be wrong. I'll have to look at active player careers, see who comes close to 3,000 strikeouts, if it's even possible at this point. But less innings pitched, careers are cut short. It's for starting pitchers. Starting pitcher might be completely different in 2, 3 years from now, 5 years at most. I mean, with 6-man rotations and piggyback games and bullpen games, and uh, we might have to start reevaluating what it means to be a Hall of Fame starting pitcher, a Hall of Fame hitter, a Hall of Fame position player. Does defense matter for real, or is it just only to be done on the highlight reels? Anyway, it's another episode, another show for another time. That may not even happen ever because we've done this so many times. Basically, rehashing a lot of things here. But the last pitcher I wanted to talk about, that's right. You guys may or may not know, but the number 83 is my favorite number. 83. Trevor Bauer is ranked number 83 on the starting pitching list, according to Tristan Cockcroft's top 300. Just double checking. Yep, still number 83. Not ranked, Trevor Bauer is. And I mean, I think he's still considered a free agent. He might just have to go back to Asia and pitch some more over there, and until a lot of the stuff that he's been accused of allegedly blows over. But what team is going to be the first one to bite? I don't know. But assuming he's available, he might just be worth it again. I know I did in 2022. I drafted him because what if nothing happens to him? What if they are able to just slap him on the wrist? And this is selfish. I know, I get it. But you play to win the game, as Herm Edwards used to say. I don't feel good about it, but I'm a big preacher, as you guys know, of taking calculated risks, and it doesn't get any more calculating than Trevor Bauer in fantasy baseball drafts. So let's take a look. At number 300, overall, Taj Bradley. I'm sorry, I will take Trevor Bauer. Okay, so let's go every 50 picks. At number 250 pick, it's Matt Chapman. Oh, definitely take Trevor Bauer over Matt Chapman. Let's go to pick number 200. Jose Barrios. Ooh, now it gets interesting. So maybe that's the threshold, right? And that's the Justin Verlander territory from last year. I know he was drafted about thereabouts last season, according to average draft position. Picks number 190 to 200. So Jose Barrios, that might be a lot to ask for. But is Trevor Bauer better than Jose Barrios? I think so. So let's go up to maybe 190. Alex Lang. Yeah, I take Trevor Bauer. Number 180. Christopher Morel. Yeah, I take Trevor Bauer. Okay, so that's a trend now. Let's see. Let's go to 150, right? From 170, let's go 20 spots below. Christian Encarnacion Strand. I do like CES, but I still take Trevor Bauer. Let's go to pick number 125. Does that get any better? Ian Happ. Yeah, I take Trevor Bauer. Sonny Gray's the next pitcher up. Yeah, I think I still take Trevor Bauer. Now we're talking about a guy who's in the top 125. What about pick number 110? Justin Steele? Yeah, I'll take Trevor Bauer. Pick number 100, Alexis Diaz. Yeah, I take Trevor Bauer. Who's the next starting pitcher? Joe Ryan. Yeah, I take Trevor Bauer. So now we're who's the 83rd pick best player in the top 300 for Tristan Cocker? George Springer. Yeah, I take Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer time. Let's go. Pick number 69 because it's Trevor Bauer. Josh Hader. Now it gets interesting. You want to take that chance with a closer? Or you take Trevor Bauer? Like, and this is just like pound for pound, player for player. Not accounting. This is a hypothetical. Let's say that he does get miraculously signed by a Major League Baseball team. Is Trevor Bauer better than Josh Hader? I think I will take Trevor Bauer. The next starting pitcher up, Logan Gilbert. I still take Trevor Bauer. So now we're really talking about top 50. Matt McClain, Manny Machado, Logan Webb. I think I take Trevor Bauer. Aaron Nola. Mm. Pablo Lopez, Zach Gallen. Nah, we get to the nuts and berries of this whole aspect. George Kirby, Luis Castillo ranked number 33 and 34 as well in reverse order. So Trevor Bauer, top 50 pick, the 83rd best pitcher according to the top 300. If you play your cards right late in the draft, you can get a top 50 player in picks number 125, 140, 145. Well, don't take my word for it. Is average draft position up and running or not? That's the better question. Fantasy baseball, average draft position. Because now I'm kind of curious. Let's see. Fantasy pros, is that updated? No, they tend to be a little late. Well, they say it's January 6th, 2024. Oh my goodness. Trevor Bauer is going at pick 315 consensus. 369 at NFBC, 266 at RTS. I don't know what RTS stands for. Let me see. Oh, wait, I think there's a definition. Oh, something called RT Sports. The Root Sports? But NFBC is the National Fantasy Baseball Invitational Championship or something to that effect. I've heard of that being used before. CBS Sports has him not being drafted at all, but pick number 267 in a 12-team league. That's the 22nd round. That's a 22nd round pick, man. That is highway robbery for a top 50 player, by all means. Even if he doesn't get picked, if he doesn't get signed, it doesn't hurt you any. It shouldn't. Look at the guys who are Cutter Crawford. I know I mentioned him before, but I'm not. Come on. I have to choose between Cutter Crawford, John Gray, Robert Suarez. What other pitchers are in here? It's a bunch of no-name. Brandon Woodruff, Marcus Stroman. My oh my. Jeff McNeil, Jason the no, no, no. Well, let's not get fooled into that. Yeah. Graham Ashcraft. Boy, oh boy. Now, the curiosity is something shame on me. I should have looked into this. Why the hell is Trevor Bauer in the top 300? What I honestly, oh, because he was present at the winter meetings 5 weeks ago. The Yokohama Bay Stars reportedly want Bauer back, but he will likely test the waters to see if he can land back with a Major League Baseball team. Bauer posted a 2.59 ERA last season in Japan. Fascinating. Well, I haven't heard a single damn thing about Trevor Bauer. I know that he's doing a bunch of YouTube videos to pass the time. Is there any updated news that we can use? MLB rumors, according to CBS Sports headline, Trevor Bauer says agents have been in contact with teams, plural, Red Sox. Oh, that's the second part of that headline. Red Sox mulling another trade. So he seeks return. Will anybody bite? Hell, the Pirates, according to Pittsburgh Post Gazette headline, could Trevor Bauer and Madison Bumgarner be targets? Can you imagine? Former Diamondback pitchers right there. That's right. Trevor Bauer, former Diamondbacks pitcher from what I remember. And then was traded straight up for what, Didi Gregorius to Cleveland because they got annoyed with him. So there you go. Trevor Bauer, top 50 pick. If you act smart, you might get him super duper late in the draft. And that's it. Probably the last episode for a while. I don't know when I'll be back. I know I have a podcast to do with my partner, Harry, by Craig, to talk some good old fashioned wrestling. But until then, I am Felipe. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you found this information to be useful as you all get ready for your fantasy baseball drafts that are upcoming. Baseball season can't get here fast enough. If I didn't say it last time, Happy New Year to everybody. Talk again soon.